If there's one thing Ellen DeGeneres loves even more than dancing, it's pulling pranks. She's not afraid to have some fun with her fellow celebrities, and it makes us love her even more. We'll show you some of the best pranks Ellen has ever managed to pull off. Before we jump into it, be sure you're subscribed to The Taco for even more great content. Now, let's take a look at some hilarious Ellen pranks. Modern Family cast. It's not unusual to see Ellen DeGeneres pranking one celebrity on her talk show, but sometimes she has to push the limits of her pranking ability. Instead of pranking just one cast member of Modern Family, she managed to fool everyone. They appeared on her show in order to celebrate the 10th and final season of their show, and Ellen decided to treat everyone to a photo shoot. The Modern Family cast members showed up in their nicest clothes and took their places in front of the white background. After the photograph was taken, a terrifying clown wearing a mask leapt out of the white box and screamed boo at everyone. Everyone involved was terrified, and Jesse Tyler Ferguson nearly jumped right out of his skin. He and Eric Stonestreet tore the box apart while demanding to know who the clown was. Ellen couldn't contain her laughter as the Modern Family cast reacted. Although the clown left the set, he did leave behind his unsettling mask. This just goes to show that you're never completely safe when you agree to be a guest on the Ellen DeGeneres Show. Anne Hathaway. Scaring the entire cast of a TV show is impressive, but this doesn't mean Ellen's pranks always go off without a hitch. She encountered some technical difficulties when she tried to play a joke on actress Anne Hathaway. She started out by suggesting the two play a game called Ocean's One Word. Each celeb would take a turn giving a one-word clue, which would help the other guess which word was on a card. Right away, Anne Hathaway admitted to being nervous about the game and doubted her ability to play properly. She ran into some trouble guessing the word trophy, but luckily the audience was happy to help her out. While Hathaway celebrated her success, Ellen was working to signal that it was time for her prank to begin. She failed to signal her accomplice and began kicking at the table in order to convey her message. Even Hathaway couldn't help but notice what was going on and asked Ellen if she was nervous or trying to send hints via Morse code. Thankfully, her accomplice finally got the hint and burst out of the table. Despite being aware of Ellen's tapping, this still managed to scare Hathaway, who let out a scream of terror. Although effective, it seems this prank needs a little fine-tuning. Adam Levine. More often than not, celebrities find themselves the targets of one of Ellen's epic pranks, but sometimes she lets them get in on the fun. This was the case when she spent time with Maroon 5 singer Adam Levine. The two celebs put their heads together and came up with a way to prank an unsuspecting delivery man. Levine utilized his acting talent while DeGeneres fed him instructions via an inconspicuous device in his ear. The victim of the prank was sent backstage in order to deliver some food to Levine. Then, for over 5 minutes, Levine delivered some pretty strange and harsh critiques of the food. He proclaimed the soup the man had brought was far too hard and generally acted like a total diva. At one point, Levine even started comparing the texture of the food to Blake Shelton's butt. That's definitely an uncomfortable situation for the poor delivery man. Perhaps the funniest part of all of this was that the victim of this prank completely maintained his cool the entire time. It kind of makes us wonder how often he encounters this behavior from guests on the Ellen DeGeneres Show. Sarah Paulson. Although she may be used to unnerving audience members on American Horror Story, apparently Sarah Paulson isn't a fan of being scared herself. During one appearance on the Ellen DeGeneres Show, she managed to get pranked not once, not twice, but 3 times in total. Ellen reasoned to the audience that as an acclaimed horror actress, Paulson must enjoy being scared. She started out by waiting around inside the closet in Paulson's dressing room prior to the show. When Paulson entered the room, Ellen stepped up, much to Paulson's shock. After a quick scream, she was able to laugh it off, perhaps naively, thinking this was the end of it. Later on, Paulson and Ellen were talking when a man with a long black wig and cape snuck up behind Paulson. Now, she was on high alert and demanded to know if someone was going to jump out of a box. Although she seemed to know it was coming, this didn't mean Paulson was any less terrified when a clown ended up bursting out of the box. When Paulson made her next appearance on the show, she was understandably paranoid. When inevitably another clown leapt out at her, she screamed and declared Ellen's show to be the worst place on earth. Emma Watson. Emma Watson got to be on the right side of the prank when she made an appearance on the Ellen DeGeneres Show. Once again, the celebrity utilized a hidden earpiece in order to feed instructions to Watson. The premise of the prank was simple. Watson was going to pretend to hire someone for a nannying position. You might be wondering how you would have missed Emma Watson having a child. Don't worry, you didn't miss a thing. Watson pretended to interview someone for the position of nannying her. Surprisingly, the aspiring nanny seems completely fine with the idea, at least until things start getting even stranger. Watson admits that she is very particular about her food and requires that the crust be cut off of her sandwiches, and she prefers to sip on Red Bull instead of milk. The nanny seems to be taking this all in stride, perhaps even thinking this might be easier than looking after a child. That is, until Watson throws a little bit of a tantrum. Whenever the nanny tries to talk about her work experience, Watson demands the attention to be put back on her. Eventually, she even pretends to get an owie and cries while demanding the nanny fix it. Benedict Cumberbatch. Actor Benedict Cumberbatch is known for playing characters who are pretty straight-laced. Lately, everyone has been talking about his performance as Doctor Strange in the movie Avengers: Infinity War. We won't spoil the ending, but suffice to say it was pretty shocking. Maybe Ellen wanted some revenge over the ending because she decided to scare Benedict Cumberbatch when he appeared on her show. She set the scene by asking him if he would ever want to be in a scary movie. Cumberbatch answered this was definitely something he would consider since he had never done one before. When Ellen presses him about his feelings on scary movies, Cumberbatch admits he often finds himself getting overly terrified by them. At that moment, Ellen gives a signal and a member of her staff jumps out and scares Cumberbatch. To make the situation even funnier, the prankster is dressed in a cheap costume of Doctor Strange's fellow Avenger, Iron Man. Although he was terrified by the prank, Benedict Cumberbatch admitted he should have seen it coming from a mile away. Neil Patrick Harris. This particular prank might just be the best one yet because it combines some of our favorite things: Ellen, Target, and Neil Patrick Harris. Harris gets hooked up to an earpiece so Ellen can feed him instructions while he heads to the local Target. The story is that he's picking up supplies for a party, but is doing so with an injury which limits his mobility. It's up to the star to depend on the kindness of his fellow strangers to get his shopping done. Why would a celebrity be shopping for party supplies at Target? Well, if Neil Patrick Harris showed up in front of you, we doubt you would question it too much either. As he helped Harris complete his increasingly awkward shopping trip, Harris invited him to the imaginary party. Eventually, Harris had the victim of the prank pouring a beverage in his mouth so he could taste it. The prank ended by Harris offering to show his victim a magic trick. He asked if he wanted to be on the Ellen DeGeneres show and then revealed he was already on it. Sterling K. Brown. More celebrities should be aware that when you agree to play a game with Ellen DeGeneres, you're playing for some pretty high stakes. These games may be lighthearted fun, or they can provide the perfect distraction for setting up a terrifying prank. This Is Us actor Sterling K. Brown learned this the hard way when he appeared on the Ellen DeGeneres show. He and his Hotel Artemis co-star Brian Tyree Henry got sucked into a seemingly harmless game of Hollywood trivia. While the two puzzled over their answers, something was stirring ominously beneath the podium. All of a sudden, someone burst through the table, and Brown had a fantastic reaction. He screamed at the top of his lungs and bolted away in terror. Hey, it's hard to blame him for having such a strong reaction. As far as Ellen's pranks go, this one is definitely a classic. It's a wonder why anyone can get near the furniture on her show without breaking into a cold sweat. We have to say, Brown's survival instincts seem to be on point based on his reaction. Tiffany Haddish. Girls Trip actress Tiffany Haddish was excited to go on an episode of the Ellen DeGeneres show. There's a talk show host she's even more enamored with. Haddish admitted she's a massive fan of Oprah and considers herself to be one of her biggest fans. When she arrived on the show, Ellen told her she had just missed catching Oprah before she left the building. Haddish was deeply disappointed, but did her best to move past it. She talked excitedly about how she had a business proposition for Oprah and even brought a binder with all of the details. The plan was to sell vegetables at farmers markets, and it was honestly very endearing. Luckily, this story had a happy ending for both Haddish and the audience. It turns out Ellen had arranged to have Oprah there the whole time, and Haddish's reaction to finally meeting her hero was absolutely priceless. She shed a few happy tears when she got to embrace Oprah for the first time. This prank was pretty far outside of Ellen's usual wheelhouse, but we think it is one of her best ones. It must have felt good to facilitate a touching moment instead of just having a clown pop up and terrify someone. Kris Jenner. Fans of Keeping Up with the Kardashians know that the Kardashians love to pull pranks on one another. Kris Jenner is no stranger to a good joke, so we love seeing her get the chance to team up with Ellen. Ellen has gotten some high-profile celebrities to do some strange things over the years, but this one definitely takes the cake. She sent the matriarch of the Kardashian empire to a 99-cent store. Not only was her mere presence baffling enough, but Kris Jenner was acting as if she was going through a total mental breakdown. While walking through the store, Jenner began to munch on some unpaid merchandise merchandise. She also began to laugh maniacally, seemingly at random, and showed off her finger dancing skills. While talking to a poor, unsuspecting cashier, she also admitted that she needs to buy some razors with which to shave her back. It was like every embarrassing moment you've ever had in a store with your own mother magnified by 1,000. Kris Jenner also asked for a price check on coconuts and asked how much wine a plastic bucket could hold. Have you ever pranked a friend? Tell us your story in the comments section below. While you're at it, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to The Taco. Bye for now.